Hey guys, and welcome back. This is my third video on solving equations, and today I'm going to show you how to solve absolute value equations in 3 steps. Hey guys, and welcome back. Subscribe to my channel if you have not done so already. Today I'm going to show you how to solve absolute value equations in 3 steps. The first one of these steps is going to be for you to isolate the absolute value term on one side of the equation. Next is going to be for you to remove the absolute values by considering the positive and the negative side of your equation. And then the final step is going to be for you to isolate the variable that you need to solve for. Let's go into some examples so I can show you how that works out. First example that we're going to have is going to be the absolute value of 2x minus 1 equals to 5. And as you can see here, my absolute value term, absolute value of 2x minus 1 is already isolated on one side of the equation. So step 1 here is done. Steps 2 would be to remove the absolute value sign by considering the negative and the positive sign of my equation. So I'm going to have here 2x minus 1 equals to 5, or 2x minus 1 equals to negative 5. So I'm getting rid of the absolute value here, and then whatever is on the other side of my equation, I'm going to consider the positive side of it and the negative side of it. Then I'm going to go ahead and solve them individually to get my answers. So for the first equation here, 2x minus 1 equals to 5, I just need to go ahead and isolate the variable x. So I'm going to add 1 on both sides of the equation. That's going to give me 2x equals to 6. Next, divide both sides by 2, and you finally get x equals 3. And for my other equation here, I'm going to have plus 1 on both sides, which is going to give me 2x equals to negative 4. Then dividing both sides by 2 would give me x equals to negative 2. All right, just for good measure here, I'm going to go ahead and check for this particular one only this solution into my equation to show you that they actually do work. So if you go and take 3 and plug it in for x in my equation, I'm going to have the absolute value of 2 times 3 minus 1, and then that will give me absolute value of 5, which equals to 5. So this actually does work for my equation. And if I try to check the next solution, I'm going to have absolute value of 2, parenthesis, negative 2 minus 1. And that will give me the absolute value of negative 5, which turns out to be just 5. And that also works. Right? So this particular method here is going to be bulletproof for you to solve any absolute value equation that you have. So let me show you another example here that's a little bit more complex. They're going to get more complex as we go, so it's cool. So our second example here is going to be 2 multiplied by the absolute value of 4 minus 5 divided by 2x and plus 6 equals to 18. First thing we need to do here is isolate the absolute value term. So you're going to have negative 6 on both sides, which is going to give you 2 absolute value of 4 minus 5 over 2x equals to 12. Then divide both sides by 2, which is going to give you absolute value of 4 minus 5 over 2x equals to 6. Now that you have step 1 done, you can go ahead and remove the absolute value here by considering the positive and negative side of your equation. So I'm going to have here 4 minus 5x over 2 equals to 6. And on the other side, I'm going to have 4 minus 5x over 2 equals negative 6. And let's look at the first equation here and try to solve it. So I'm going to have to do minus 4 on both sides, which will give me negative 5x over 2 equals to 2. Then multiply both sides by 2 here will give me negative 5x equals to 4. Finally, divide both sides by negative 5 would give me x equals 4 divided by negative 5. That's done. Let's look at our second equation on this side here. We're going to have to subtract 4 on both sides again, which will give us negative 5x over 2 equals to negative 10. Multiplying both sides by 2, because 2 is our denominator, i.e. our LCD, and so we want to get rid of that. And so we're getting negative 5x equals to negative 20. Finally, divide both sides by negative 5, and you get yourself an x equals to 4. And now with these two equations solved, we are done. And I'm not going to do the checking here. I'm going to leave it to you guys to do. And instead, I'm going to show you 2 more interesting cases, because if you notice, in both my first cases here, you always had a positive number on the right side of the equation. So what happened when the number on the right side of the equation is not positive? What happened when it is 0, or even when it's negative, right? So let's look at these cases and see how that would work out. And so our third example here is going to be the absolute value of 2x minus 1 plus 3 equals 3. And so if you do step 1 here, which is to isolate your absolute value term, you're going to have to subtract 3 on both sides. And so that would give you 2x minus 1 in absolute value equal to 0, right? So here, this number 0 is not a positive number, it's just 0. It's not negative, not positive. So what do you do to get rid of the absolute value here? Our step 2 here is going to be very simple. All you have to do is just get rid of the absolute value. Because if you think about it, it's going to be you saying 2x minus 1 equals 0, or 2x minus 1 equals negative 0. That doesn't change anything in our equation. So we can just go ahead and consider the only side of this equation, which is to rewrite this as 2x minus 1 equals 0. So whenever the right side of the equation after step 1 is 0, you can just go ahead and remove the absolute value without having to do any work, without having to consider the positive or negative side, because there's really no positive, no negative side in this case. And so with that, I'm going to add 1 on both sides, giving me 2x equals to 1, and finally divide both sides by 2. And so I'm going to get x equals to 1/2. And this is done. But last example, what happened when on the right side of your equation, you get a negative number? So let's look at this one here. 2, absolute value of x plus 4 plus 5 equals to 1. Again, first step, isolate the absolute value term. So you're going to have to subtract 5 on both sides. And so that will give you 2. Absolute value of x plus 4 equals to negative 4. Divide both sides by 2. That will give you x plus 4 in absolute value equals to negative 2. Now, when you get to this point here, an absolute value term equals to a negative number, right? Here you should know that you can't actually move forward, because an absolute value term would never be equal to a negative number. So you can stop here and simply say that this particular equation does not have any solution. So that's it for this case here. So no solution, and we are done. Right. So next time I'm going to talk about 3 methods on how to solve quadratic equation. All right, guys, that is it for now. The link for this note is always going to be in the description below. If you like this video, don't forget to share, like, and subscribe. Also, follow me on my other social platforms on Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, and Twitter at Franck's Note, and I will see you in the next video.